Hello everyone. Heat transfer. This is our next topic about which we will discuss in this class. So we already know that each and every object possesses some amount of heat which is due to the kinetic energy of the molecules of the substance. Right? So more is the kinetic energy, or we can say average kinetic energy of the substance, more heat the substance will have. And more heat the substance will have, more will be the temperature of the substance. So heat transfer will take place whenever one end of the substance it is at higher temperature, suppose it is T1, and other end is at comparatively lower temperature, it is T2. So T1 is more than T2. So the transfer of heat will takes place from the end which is at higher temperature to the end which is at lower temperature. So transfer of heat will be from end A here which is at higher temperature to end B which is at a less, or we can say comparatively lower temperature. So this is one case, a simple case to understand in which direction the flow of heat will takes place, or heat transfer of heat will takes place. So transfer of heat will always takes place from a point which is at high temperature to a point which is at lower temperature. Okay. Now there can be different ways in which this transfer of heat can takes place. The very first phenomena, it is conduction. So what is the conduction phenomena? It is the phenomena in which the transfer of heat takes place from a point which is at higher temperature to a point which is at lower temperature without actual movement of the constituent molecules, or we can say particles of the substance. Suppose of an object we have these molecules. So in case of solids, these molecules are fixed together with the strong intermolecular forces. So if some amount of heat is given to the very first molecule, then this molecule will hand over the heat to the next neighboring molecule. How this heat will hand over to the next neighboring molecule? Whenever this much amount of heat is given to the first molecule, for example, or we can say these molecule make the we can say a rod, for example, just like this. So whenever this much amount of heat is given to the very first molecule, with this much amount of heat it will start vibrating about its to and fro about its mean position, or we can say equilibrium position, due to which it creates, or its kinetic energy is increased, and due to its to and fro motion about its mean position, its neighboring molecule also gets disturbed. So the neighboring molecule also starts vibrating with the kinetic energy, and therefore the kinetic energy of the second molecule is also increased, which in turn disturb the next neighboring molecule. So its kinetic energy also increased. So in this way the kinetic energy of neighboring molecules is increased. Increase in kinetic energy results in increase in the temperature of the end which is at lower temperature. So in this way the heat is transferred in case of conduction. So conduction, it is the phenomena in which heat transfer takes place from a point which is at high temperature to a point which is at lower temperature through the transfer of heat without actual movement of the constituent particles or molecules from their mean position. You can think about this situation, it is very similar to this one. Suppose that we have some uh, persons arranged in a line, and we have to take this object from this end to the other end, right? So how this can happen? It can happen through the process we call as conduction. The first person, it takes this object and hand over to its neighboring person. So the first person is not moving anywhere, but it is just handing over the object to its nearest neighboring person. Now this second person also takes this object but and handovers to its next neighboring person. So in this way this object, or we can say this box, can be taken from one end to other end without any movement of the these, we can say, persons from their equilibrium position. So in this way the transfer of heat, in the very similar way the transfer of heat, it is called as the conduction. Okay, we can think about this example here, which is important to understand and define a very important term. So one thing is clear, that transfer of heat will always take place from the point which is at higher temperature to a point which is at lower temperature, and if during the transfer of heat there is no actual movement of the, or we can say the constituent particles do not leave their position in order to position means equilibrium position, in order to conduct the heat from one end to other end, then this phenomenon is called as the conduction. Okay, suppose we have this rod and we have attached a thermometer here. This thermometer, it is the first thermometer. We consider the cavities in which the bulb of this thermometer is placed. Then we have second thermometer, which is at some distance. Then we have third thermometer, just as this. Then the fourth thermometer, just as this, and so on. This is the end A and this is the end B. So we heat the end A. So we heat the end A. So with this heat, the temperature of end A will increase. Right? By the process of conduction, this heat will be transferred across the length of the rod towards the we can say colder end. So the temperature of each and every thermometer keeps on increasing. The very first thermometer attains some temperature, for example T1, after which there is no further increase in the temperature. This is called as the steady temperature or constant temperature which the first thermometer attains. So that means after this temperature T1 is attained at this point, whatever heat is being supplied from this flame, it is getting transferred to the next part of the rod, due to which the temperature of the second thermometer also starts increasing, and after some time it also attains some constant temperature, after which there is no increase in temperature of the thermometer too. So that means all the heat which this point is receiving, it is now being transferred to the next neighboring we can say next part of the rod. So the temperature of the third thermometer also starts increasing till it becomes constant at T3 temperature. Similarly, the fourth thermometer, it also attains temperature T4. So we see that the temperature of thermometers, as we move away from the hot end, the temperature of the thermometers, or we can say the heat received at the other parts, goes on decreasing. It is because some part of the heat is always lost by the process of convection or radiation. Only a few part of the heat received, it is transferred to the next part of the rod. So we see that there is decrease in the temperature as we move from hot end towards the cold end. This represents the decrease in the temperature with the distance from the hot end. This is the hot end A. So as we move away from it, the distance goes on increasing and the temperature goes on decreasing. This variation in temperature with the distance from the hot end of the rod, it is called as the temperature gradient. So what is temperature gradient? It is given as the ratio of the temperature change per unit the distance from the hot end. And because with increase in distance, the temperature d theta, which we represent as d theta, is goes on decreasing. So we represent the temperature gradient with a minus sign to accommodate the meaning of decreasing temperature with the distance. So this term, it is called as the temperature gradient. There is one important term here to understand, and it is thermal conductivity of the substance. So what does that mean? Thermal conductivity of any substance. Each and every kind of substance has its own ability to conduct the heat. Some substances are good conductors of heat, and other substances, just like wood, plastic, they are the bad conductors of the heat. So the property by which the heat transfer takes place from one end of a body to the other end of the body is known as the thermal conductivity in its physical meaning. Suppose that we have a cube of some metal just as this. So this is a cube. This is the face A of the cube. This is the face opposite face B of the cube. Or let us call it to be AB and CD here for just easy understanding. So of the cube, AB is the one face and CD is the other face, and both the faces are at distance, for example dx or delta x. So the transfer of, suppose that the face AB it is at higher temperature and CD it is at lower temperature. So we can call it as T1, and the temperature of phase CD it is T2, and T1 is more than the T2. So transfer of heat will takes place from the phase AB to phase CD, from hot phase to the cold phase CD. So it has been observed that the amount of heat transferred it is found directly proportional to the area of the cross section of the faces involved in the heat transfer. Also, the heat transfer is also directly proportional to the temperature difference. So temperature difference T2 minus T1 we can call it to be simply d theta or dt. So whatever the amount of heat will be transferred, it will also depend upon the temperature difference. More is the difference of the temperatures between the surfaces, more amount of heat transfer will takes place. Also it is directly proportional to the time for which the heat we can say heat transfer is allowed. More time is allowed, more transfer of heat can takes place. And one last thing is that it is inversely proportional to the separation between the two faces. So we see that the amount of heat transferred it will depend upon the area cross section of the faces, the temperature difference at which the faces are lying, the time for which the heat transfer is allowed, and the separation between the surfaces. So here comes a constant of proportionality called as K, and this is called as thermal conductivity. It depends upon the kind, or we can say nature of the material we are making use of. So it becomes K into A into delta theta upon delta x into time t. This delta theta again upon delta x, again it is the temperature gradient, and we take it to be negative because with the passage of time this temperature goes on decreasing. So we put a minus sign here. So K is called as the thermal conductivity, right? So from this we can write K as all other terms goes to the other side, so it becomes Q upon T, because T going to the other side just divides Q. So it becomes heat transfer per unit time, or it is also called as the rate of flow of heat per unit A into delta theta upon delta x. So from this equation we have found K, the thermal conductivity. Now we are ready to define the thermal conductivity of any substance. If A is of 1 unit means 1 meter square, delta x it is equal to 1 meter, time t is equal to 1 second, and delta theta it is equal to 1 degree Celsius. Whenever we substitute all parameters to be 1, then K means thermal conductivity, it is given as Q upon T. Let us take it to be simply Q upon T. So K is equal to Q upon T. That means thermal conductivity is that rate of transfer of heat when we have area of cross section, or we can say area of the opposite faces to be 1 meter square, separated by a distance of 1 meter, and lying at a temperature difference of 1 degree Celsius. Then at that time the rate of transfer of heat, it will be called as the thermal conductivity of that substance. So this is the basic definition of thermal conductivity. So once again, thermal conductivity of any material is defined as the quantity of heat energy that flows across the opposite faces of 1 meter cube in 1 second when opposite faces of the cube are maintained at a temperature difference of 1 degree Celsius, or we can say 1 Kelvin. From here, the units of this thermal conductivity is joule per second, per meter and per Kelvin. Joule per second, per meter, per Kelvin. These are the units in SI system, and in CGS system it is calorie per second, per centimeter and per degree Celsius. This joule per second, it is nothing but the power, just like so the units can be replaced with the watt, so it can be called as the watt per meter per Kelvin also. So this is about the units of the thermal conductivity. And when we substitute the values of we can say dimensions of each and every quantity, just like the energy Q, time T, A area cross section, temperature and again length, then the dimensions of the thermal conductivity comes out to be M L T minus 3 K minus 1. So these are the dimensions for the thermal conductivity. So this is about the conduction phenomena of transfer of heat, or we can say conduction mode of transfer of heat. Different substances have different thermal conductivity depending upon their kind. Okay, one more important thing we can understand from here, it is from this equation. From this equation we can find this Q upon T. So Q upon T, from here it comes out numerically, this is the rate of flow of heat, it comes out to be Ka into d theta upon dx. So this is the rate of transfer of heat. So this will be given by, rate of transfer of heat will be given by, we can take K and A in here. So we get d theta upon dx divided by K into A. So this term in the denominator, it is called as the thermal resistance. So the rate of transfer of heat Q upon T, this is equal to d theta, the temperature difference of the two faces, divided by this thermal resistance, which we represent here by RH. So it is simple that thermal resistance, it is given by dx upon K into A, where dx is the separation between the faces and A is the area cross section of the faces and K is the thermal conductivity of the substance, for which we are calculating the thermal resistance. Of course, more area, less will be the thermal resistance, and more is the separation between the surfaces, more will be the resistance, thermal resistance. So this is about the conduction mode of transfer of the heat. Now we can discuss the second mode of transfer of the heat, which is convection. There are a lot of before that we can discuss in short about some applications of the thermal conduction, or we can say conduction. Cooking utensils are made of aluminium or brass or copper because they are the good conductors of the heat. So the heat transfer takes place easily through these metals, through the process of conduction. Similarly, in winters, iron chairs appear to be colder, iron pieces or iron metallic substances appear to be colder than the wooden substances because the thermal conductivity. Wood is a bad conductor of heat, whereas the metal is a good conductor of the heat. So these are some applications of the conduction phenomena of the heat transfer. Now we can discuss the second phenomena of the heat transfer, which is called as the convection. So how heat is transferred in this phenomena of convection? In this phenomena, the heat transfer from hot end of some substance to the colder end of the substance takes place from hot end to the colder end via the actual movement of the constituent particles. Here convection phenomena is possible in case of fluids, the substances which are either in their liquid state or in their we can say vapor or gaseous state. So the process or phenomena of the transfer of heat from one part or we can say hot part of a fluid to the other part means cold part of the fluid by the actual movement of its constituent particles. This phenomena it is called as the convection. The simple application of the convection is that so the particles just take the heat energy and move towards the other end of the conductor, just like the flow of the air. In summers, the flow of the air takes place inward and outward from a room because of the temperature difference. And in this case, we want to keep all the windows in summer open so that the transfer of heat can take place from inside to the outside through the process of convection. It is the convection phenomena due to which the trade winds flow. So when Earth's surface near the equator gets heated by the sun, suppose that this is the Earth near the equator, when air near the equator is heated by the sun, it starts rising towards the colder parts of the air, towards the poles. So this transfer of the heat, and similarly the air which is cold at the poles, it starts flowing towards the equator because of their temperature difference. So what happens? The winds are set up which are called as the trade winds. It is the convection phenomena which is also responsible for the monsoons. The moisture contained in monsoons condenses into cloud after striking against the unbroken walls of the mountain and hence leads to rain. And similarly in summer, because the monsoon move from south to north, so first of all the monsoon appears at the southern tip of the India and then it advances towards the northern tip. So it is simple that the flow of the heat takes place in the phenomena of convection by the actual movement of the particles. So here all these phenomena of just like trade winds, monsoons, or these are happening because the actual movement of the air around the earth from hot part of the we can say air towards the cold part of the air. Third kind of heat transfer or we can say third way in which the heat transfer can take place or third mode of transfer of heat is the radiation. It is very simple to understand. Radiation phenomena takes place without the actual movement of the or we can say without actual need of the particles of the medium. It can happen with or without the actual involvement of the particles of the medium. Just as you can see the heat coming from the sun, it is traveling a lot of empty space and then reaches the surface of the earth by entering its atmosphere. So the process of transfer of heat from one place to another place without the need of any intervening medium, or we can say without hitting the intervening medium between the 2 points. So point A, point B, the transfer of heat takes place without any need of the medium in between. So we do not require any medium in between for the transfer of heat. So whenever heat transfer takes place in such a case, then it just does not heat the medium, and this phenomena it is called as the irradiation. So each and every object possessing some kind of energy always radiates or transmits the heat via the phenomena of radiations. So everything and everybody in this universe emits energy in the form of the waves called as electromagnetic waves due to its temperatures. And these waves are nothing but the heat radiations or thermal radiations. Thermal radiations require no material medium for their propagation. One must understand, no medium is required. that means they can travel even without the medium, or we can say vacuum. It is the radiation phenomena due to which the we can say heat energy is coming from the sun and reaching the surface of the earth. Another thing to note down here, it is that thermal radiation travel means the heat transfer by the phenomena of radiation happens at the speed of light. That means 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. So the rate of transfer of the heat is this much, or we can say speed at which the radiation of the heat takes place. Third point, one must remember that in the radiation phenomena, it travels in the straight lines. The heat transfer takes place in straight lines. And it is also important to note that the intensity of radiations, it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance from the source of these radiations. That means as we move away from the source, the intensity of the radiation will keep on decreasing as inversely to the square of this distance. So if, for example, we have this point A at where the source is lying and point B where we are calculating the intensity, then the intensity at point B, which is lying at distance r, from the source, its intensity will be calculated by this proportionality. So intensity will be inversely proportional to the square of the distance where we are calculating the, we can say, intensity. This is called as inverse square law. So the other points to note down is that they are reflected or refracted in the very similar, just like the light gets reflected and refracted. They also do not affect the medium through which they are passing, if there is any. However, they do not require any medium to travel. So there is a very important law here, is which is the Newton's law of cooling. So whenever heat transfer takes place from a body at high temperature to a body at lower temperature, so Newton's law about cooling of the hot body is very important to understand. We know that for example, a pot containing hot milk is placed in a room. It just cools down after some time. So it happens because the hot milk in the container, it keeps on losing the heat to its surrounding, which is at comparatively a lower temperature. So Newton's law is about that cooling process. It is the law about the cooling of the object, and it simply states that the rate of loss of heat, it is directly proportional to the temperature difference between the hot body which is cooling with its surrounding. So if the hot body, for example, it is at temperature theta and the surrounding is at temperature theta naught, so the heat transfer, it will depend upon that temperature difference. So this is the Newton's law of cooling. So Newton's law of cooling is about the rate of loss of heat, and it says that it is directly proportional to the temperature difference between the hot body and the surrounding. So if this is a hot body, we have some substance in a container and its surrounding temperature is theta naught. So therefore the temperature difference is theta minus theta naught. So more is the difference of the temperature of this hot body with respect to its surrounding, more rapidly the liquid will lose the heat, or we can say more rapidly or early it will cool down. So therefore this heat rate of transfer of heat Q upon T becomes equal to, and there comes a constant of we can say proportionality, it is K, and it becomes theta minus theta naught. And we already know that the rate of transfer of heat, it goes on decreasing as the temperature goes on decreasing. So we put a minus sign here. With the passage of time, the difference between the hot body and the surrounding, it goes on decreasing. So therefore the rate of transfer of heat or rate of loss of heat, it starts, we can say, decreasing. So this is the Newton's law of cooling. So it is very simple to define and remember Newton's law of cooling. It simply says that the rate of loss of heat by a hot body to its surrounding, is directly proportional to the temperature difference of the hot body with its surrounding. Right? Okay. And here we have the heat that has been transferred in time t. So we can represent this heat transfer into its specific heat. Suppose that m is the mass of this hot body, or we can say object, and c is its specific heat, and the temperature difference taking place is d theta in time dt. So therefore q becomes equal to mc d theta upon time t. So we can write it simply dt. So it becomes equal to k into theta minus theta naught. So we have just substituted the value of heat that has been lost, and heat that has been lost, it becomes equal to mass of the substance which is losing the heat, its specific heat times its specific heat, and the temperature difference which is taking place in time dt. So therefore substituting for q and time in place of t, we have substituted dt time. So this becomes the rate of loss of heat. And from here we can just simplify this equation. We can take all terms containing temperature on the left hand side. So it becomes, so theta minus theta naught on the right hand side, it is taken to the left hand side. So it just divides. And when we take mc to the other side, it just divides times it is dt. So this is nothing but a constant. We can write c for it, for this constant, so that our equation takes this form: d theta upon theta minus theta naught, it becomes equal to c into dt. Now if we integrate both sides, we get the final result to be, so the integration of left hand side, it is nothing but log of theta minus theta naught. This is equal to, we have a minus sign here, one must remember. So we have the c is the constant, so it becomes minus c into integration of dt, which is t, plus there comes a constant of integration. So this equation, it is nothing but the equation of a straight line. So whenever we plot the graph between log theta minus theta naught and with time, right, we get a straight line just like this. So this straight line has a negative slope. So that's why c here it is negative. So this is the graph between the temperature and the time. So as the time passes, the temperature of the hot body goes on decreasing. So this is about the Newton's law of cooling. Before we conclude this topic, we have to look at few more things in short about the heat transfer. Whatever the amount of heat is given to a body, suppose that we have q amount of heat which is given to a body. So body processes this heat into different ways. It absorbs a part of this heat, we can represent it by qa, reflect another part of the heat, so it is called as qr. This is the reflected part of the heat, and the remaining part of the heat is transmitted, right? So the heat given to this body, it is being used in three ways. Some part is absorbed, some part is reflected, and remaining part is transmitted. So that means this amount of heat, out of which some part is absorbed, a part of it is reflected back, and the remaining part is transmitted. So the sum of the heat, or we can say radiation, which is absorbed, reflected and transmitted, it is always equal to the heat which is given to this body, right? So that means depending upon the nature of this substance, it has its ability to absorb, or its ability to reflect, or its ability to transmit or emit the heat radiation which is incident on it. So based on its properties towards absorption, towards reflection, and towards transmission or emission. We have three terms about this. One is absorption, or we can say absorptive power. It is also called as absorptance. So what is absorptive power of any substance? This is nothing but the it is the property of this substance due to which it absorbs the amount of heat. So that means absorptive power is of a substance is more if it can absorb more amount of the heat. So of the incident amount of the heat. So absorptive power, or we can say absorptance of a substance, it is given as the amount of heat that has been absorbed out of the heat that has been incident. So this ratio of the heat absorbed divided by the heat that has been incident, this is called as absorptive power or absorptance of the substance. Similarly, reflectance or reflective power or reflecting power. So it is also called as the reflectance. So it is the property of the substance by which the substance reflects the heat. So it does not absorb but reflects the heat. So it is the amount ratio of the amount of heat that has been reflected per unit the amount heat that has been incident. And similarly, the transmittance or transmitting power. Transmitting power, or it is also called as transmittance. Transmittance. So it is the ability of the object to transmit the amount of heat that has been absorbed, or we can say incident. So the transmittance or transmitting power, it is given as the ratio of the amount of heat that has been transmitted out of the heat that has been incident, or we can say made to fall on the object itself. So depending upon the amount of heat that has been absorbed, a black body is the best absorber of the heat because it absorbs the maximum amount of the radiation that has been incident on the black body. So black body is the one which absorbs most amount of the heat radiation that has been incident on it. So that means the absorptive power or absorptance of a black body is the highest of all the bodies. Okay, so a perfectly black body is the one that absorbs. Perfectly black body is the one that absorbs all the amount of heat radiation that has been absorbed. However, in physical world, in practical world, we have no such perfectly black body, right? However, fairy's black body is close to a perfectly black body because it absorbs almost 99% of the heat radiation that has been incident on it. And a fairy's black body is just like this. It is in the form of a spherical shape which is coated inside in black, and there is a fine opening for this body, fairy's black body. Through this opening, the amount of heat which enters, it gets reflected multiple times, but this light or we can say this heat radiation is not able to, we can say, exit the, or we can say leave this body. So that's why this is the fairy's black body, and which is very close to a perfectly black body because it absorbs almost 99% of the heat radiation that has been incident on the black body. We have two more important laws about this heat transfer, out of which one is the Stephen's law. When a black body is hit, which absorbs the heat radiation to the best, whenever it is heated upon, it starts emitting the radiations of different kinds. So Stephen's law is about the radiations, and it simply states that the amount of heat radiations emitted per unit time from a unit surface area of a body which is emitting the heat. Suppose that a body is emitting the heat, then heat radiations which are emitted per unit time from a unit surface area of the body at absolute temperature. This heat radiation emitted per unit time from a unit surface area of the body, it is directly proportional to what? The amount of heat that has been emitted, it will be directly proportional to temperature, or we can say to fourth power of the temperature. Suppose that a body is losing the heat. So what amount of heat the 1 unit surface area of this body will emit every second? So that means rate of emission of the heat by the unit surface area of the body at absolute temperature, it will be directly proportional to the fourth power of the temperature of this body. So the heat that has been, or we can say heat radiation that has been emitted per second, it will be directly proportional to the fourth power of the temperature. And there comes a constant of proportionality, we represent it by sigma T to the power 4. This constant of proportionality here, it is called as Stephen's constant. So one must remember while we discuss the emission of the heat radiations. The Stephen constant, it is given by 5.67 into 10 to the power minus 8, and the units for this constants are watt per meter square per Kelvin power 4. So this is about the Stephen's law, and there is another important law which is the final term to understand here. It is the Wien's distribution law, or simply Wien's law. So Wien's law of displacement, it is about the radiation that has been emitted when a black body is heated upon. So whenever a black body is heated upon, it starts emitting the radiations of the different wavelengths and different energies. So when a graph is plotted between the energy corresponding to different radiations of different wavelengths. So we take the wavelengths of radiations which are emitted along the horizontal and corresponding energies along the vertical axis. So at a particular temperature, we see that the wavelengths of we can say radiations of shorter wavelength and radiations of higher wavelength, they possess the comparatively smaller, or we can say lesser amount of energy, and there is particular range of the wavelength for which the energy is maximum, right? So in order to make it easy to understand, I am just representing the graphs. So we have particular wavelengths, we call it lambda m, for which the energy is maximum. So this is at some temperature, for example lower temperature T1, or we can say it has been plotted experimentally. So it has been found to be 723 Kelvin, for example. And when temperature is raised to 998 Kelvin, higher than 723, the graph is found to be just like this. So this is 998 Kelvin. So now the wavelengths corresponding to the maximum energy are comparatively shorter. So these are the wavelengths corresponding to this temperature 998. So the wavelengths corresponding to the largest energy in this graph at temperature 998 Kelvin, they are comparatively shorter because these are lesser. And when we increase the temperature of that black body even higher, the graph shifts even more. So this temperature, it is at 1195 Kelvin. So the radiations, or we can say wavelength of the radiations corresponding to the highest energy in this temperature, at this temperature, are even smaller. So whenever temperature is even increase further, so the wavelength of the radiations corresponding to the highest energy are now even smaller. So the wavelengths, as the temperature goes on increasing, so it is 1449 Kelvin. So as the temperature is increasing, as we see here, and if we keep on plotting the graph between energy of the radiations and their corresponding wavelengths, we see that the energy or we can say wavelength corresponding to the radiations which are emitted out corresponding to the highest energy, they go on decreasing. So there is a displacement of wavelengths towards the shorter wavelength as the temperature is increasing. So about this, there is a Wien's distribution law, and Wien has summed up this observation. And according to Wien's displacement law, the wavelength corresponding to maximum intensity. This is the maximum intensity. This is the maximum intensity. So the wavelength corresponding to maximum intensity means maximum energy of emission of heat radiation which are emitted out, right? Heat radiation, it is the wavelength of this is inversely proportional to, because as temperature increases, the wavelength goes on decreases. Which wavelengths? Corresponding to the highest intensity or highest energy, inversely proportional to the temperature. So therefore, the wavelength corresponding to the highest energy or highest intensity emitted out, it is inversely proportional to the temperature. And from there comes a constant of proportionality. This is called as Wien's constant, and here we represent it by B. So it is B upon T. So that means lambda m times T, this is equal to Wien's constant. And the value in SI system of this Wien's constant, it is 2.898 into 10 to the power minus 5, right, meter Kelvin. Okay, so this is about the Wien's law of displacement. Similar effect is taking place just like greenhouse effect and solar constant, the energy that has been emitted out by the sun. So that's all about this topic of heat transfer. Thank you.